The kids are not being looked after because you're on the beach with Damon.
Excuse me?
The kids aren't accounted for because you were out shagging your uncle.
Hello, I'm Emma Darcy,
I'm Olivia Cooke.
and we are going to try to recap the whole of House of the Dragon Series 1 from memory.
There is spoilers.
Here are some characters that you should know before heading into Season 2. Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, the rightful heir to the throne. Her late father, Viserys I Targaryen, late King of the Seven Kingdoms.
Alicent Hightower, me, Rhaenyra's childhood friend. Stepmother.
And a person in her own goddamn right.
Thank you very much. Aemon Targaryen, Alicent's middle child.
Daemon Targaryen, Rhaenyra's uncle, lover and husband.
Aegon II Targaryen, Alicent's eldest son.
Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, the so-called queen who never was.
Otto Hightower, Viserys' Hand of the King.
Corlys Velaryon, also known as the Sea Snake and head of the Velaryon Navy. And his and Rhaenys' late son, Laenor Velaryon. Sir Harwin Strong, something to do with Rhaenyra's children, an all-time nice guy.
Sir Criston Cole, he's the newest member of the Kingsguard. Rhaenyra lost her virginity to him. And he's mine now.
And he's a man in his own right.
Sometimes.
Crucially, House of the Dragon is set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So it's a Targaryen dynasty, where the Targaryens at the height of their power.
We're in the Age of Dragons.
Right, lots of dragons. And Viserys gets made heir, but it should have been Rhaenys.
It could have been. It could have been. But the men wouldn't have it. Jump forward a little bit.
We're pals.
Yes, and two families that are sort of enmeshed, the Hightowers and the Targaryens. Otto Hightower, Alicent's father, is hand to my father, Viserys. We grew up together.
Viserys' reign is quite peaceful. We see a tourney.
Viserys needs an heir, and my mother, Emma, is pregnant. She goes into labour, and it is a boy.
You have a son. It's a boy. A new heir, Your Grace.
But Emma is killed in labour, and the child dies shortly after also. Viserys, in that time period, names Rhaenyra, his only remaining child, heir to the throne.
Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragonstone, and heir to the Iron Throne.
This makes Daemon angry. Daemon, who is Rhaenyra's uncle and sort of love interest.
Yeah, sexy uncle.
He feels that the succession, it ought to be him.
10 years you've been king, and yet not once have you asked me to be your hand.
But he's a bit of a rogue and can't be trusted and very tempestuous.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Then do we jump now?
Oh,
no.
So Viserys is widowed, and Otto schemes to marry his daughter Alicent to the king, and that is in fact what happens. The plan works perfectly.
Alicent is married to Viserys. They have loads of babies. Putting into question Rhaenyra's legitimacy for the throne.
Yes,
because I've got 3 sons.
One of which is called Aegon, and another of which is called Aemond.
And there's a Daeron that we've not mentioned in season 1, but he does exist apparently.
So tension builds between Alicent and Rhaenyra. Yeah. There's a question that builds around the succession now that Viserys does indeed have sons.
Then we jump, and then we come in.
10 years later.
Alicent and Rhaenyra have different heads. And we see lots of bitterness has happened, and there's a fractious nature to our relationship now.
Yes, I suppose it's a power struggle, one could say. In the meantime, Rhaenyra's also popped out a load of kids, and she's married Laenor Velaryon, son of Corlys Velaryon and Rhaenys Targaryen. They haven't been successful in having children, and Rhaenyra has been having a relationship with a lovely man called Harwin Strong, and she's had 3 children, and there's a question mark around their parenthood.
When Rhaenyra has just gotten off of birthing bed. So you can't.
That's what they called it in the old days.
I request to see the child to see if he indeed looks like Laenor, and decides that he doesn't. Wait, who dies before? Oh no, thingy.
Laena. Oh, Daemon is in a relationship with Lena, who we haven't mentioned yet, she dies tragically also in childbirth.
No, she sets the dragon on herself because she doesn't want to die in childbirth.
Yes, yes. The kids were all scrapping.
Yeah. At the funeral of Lena's.
Right. Aemond, Alicent's son, loses an eye.
But before that, because the kids they're not being looked after because you're on the beach with Daemon.
Excuse me?
The kids aren't accounted for because you were out shagging your uncle.
You're right. Yeah, and where were you?
I was asleep. I was knackered.
Okay. Alicent comes at me with a knife.
Alicent, stay with the king! Hold your ground! Do not suggest Alicent!
Big scrap. I'll have your son's eye then in return.
Yes, yes. What happens after that?
Another time jump.
Yep. Yes.
Kids are grown up now.
Yes, they've grown up. Oh,
visit.
There's a question around Lucerys, who should inherit the Driftmark throne. The petitions are being raised around that order of succession. It's an attempt to, again, undermine me. Rhaenyra is pulled back to King's Landing.
Yeah.
Everybody's there. It looks like no one will stand with Rhaenyra. And miraculously, Viserys, who at this point is incredibly ill. Oh, he's rotten.
Yeah, he's so ill.
Yeah, it's very sad. And he kind of unexpectedly turns out for Rhaenyra.
King Viserys of House Targaryen.
Who are you trying to get in there?
Vaemond.
Vaemond. Corlys's brother.
Yes.
Yes.
And he says he's the rightful heir of Driftmark.
Yes. Not unreasonably.
And then in front of everyone in the throne room, he calls you a whore and your son's
Bastards!
And then...
Oh, and then Daemon beheads him.
Yeah.
We'll have your tongue for that.
He reaffirms Lucerys as heir to Driftmark. We have lovely dinner.
A really nice dinner.
We have a lovely dinner. Viserys sort of seeks the reunification of his family.
The crown cannot stand strong if the House of the Dragon remains divided. But set aside your grievances.
It looks like there's a possibility of some sort of healing happening here.
You say nice things about me, I say nice things about you.
Rhaenyra takes her family back to Driftmark, and then in the meantime...
On Viserys' deathbed, Alicent thinks that he says, I know what I said like a few hours ago, but I actually want Aegon to be on the throne.
Aegon, his dream, the Song of Ice and Fire. It is true.
That's a lot of words. Yeah.
Look, I didn't say it, don't make the rules. And then we have a hasty coronation for Aegon. Otto is like the driving force of like, this guy needs to get on the throne now if this is what Viserys wants. I wasn't there, no one was there, only you were there, Alicent. So this all stinks a little bit. The coronation happens quickly. Rhaenys finds a way to her dragon. So she comes up through the dragon pit and starts lighting everything on fire. Ultimately, she doesn't incinerate me or Aegon and flies to Driftmark, where you are.
Finally, Rhaenyra, who is very pregnant, receives word that not only is her father dead, but that the Greens have usurped her throne, that Aegon has been crowned publicly. The sort of stress and shock of this causes Rhaenyra to go into labour prematurely. She loses the baby and is forced to sort of return as quickly as possible to her wartime council. Finally, she sends various sort of envoys out to bring allies to the Black Cause, one of whom is Lucerys, her son. I expect you will receive a very warm welcome. When he flies to meet Lord Baratheon, he discovers that Aemond Targaryen is already there. They have a battle on Dragonback, and Lucerys is killed. And the final thing that we see in Series 1 is Rhaenyra receive the news of her son's murder. And that is everything you need to know before Season 2.
Just about.
Whose lover is killed by Sir Criston Cole during the marriage celebration.
Is that what? Oh, of course.
First one.
Yeah.
But we weren't there.
I wasn't there.
I wasn't there.
Famously, we weren't there.
Yeah. Too old.
Too old.